Oh man. Oh, that was great.
I want to know what's wrong with Miles, man. He looks lost over here.
Are you sure?
I chose to do my presentation on enhancement of the move over laws and the visibility of first responders. I chose this topic because it is relevant to me and to a lot of my friends being volunteer firefighters in the state of Delaware. We have laws that help protect us, but our laws can be enhanced to match those of the states around us. Let's begin. This presentation will explore various ways to keep our first responders safer while operating on the dangerous highways in the state of Delaware. Enhancement and enforcement of the move over law, increasing visibility by allowing first responders to have multicolored lights in their personal vehicles, making sure the general public understands the move over law. It will explain the significance of these possible solutions and how it pertains to the law and why it would enhance the law and improve responder safety. What is the move over law? The move over law basically says when you see a vehicle on the side of the road and there's lights flashing, you need to move over and slow down. The Delaware move over law specifically says the law requires motorists to move, if possible, at least one lane away from firefighters, law enforcement, ambulances, tow trucks, and transportation workers. If motorists cannot move one lane away, this is slow down and proceed with caution. This was taken from Delaware.gov. The law is great, but it needs to be enhanced to include first responders in their personal vehicles at the scene of an accident or incident, or when they're responding to the fire station or a rescue squad. Also, the law needs to be enforced just as aggressively as any other law. It's very, very, very frustrating when you know the police officer behind you heard the same dispatch you heard. You know that he knows you're a cop. He knows that you're a firefighter and he pulls you over, or he just lets people cut you off. If we were responding to the fire station to go help his family or his wife, it would be completely different. The move over law is also in place to help prevent things like this. You got the person speeding down the highway and slams into the back of the fire truck. Thankfully, no firefighters were hurt, but it could have been worse. Or you have the trooper that was hit on the side of the road in PG County in Maryland because some idiot slammed into him. Hazardous working conditions. Emergency personnel, by definition, have a very hazardous job. We know that. We can't get around it. We don't try to get around it. We deal with it. But it can be made a little bit easier and safer. To help keep personnel safe, it's important that people keep their distance and pay attention when approaching an emergency room. When you see flashing lights, that means to slow down and move over. If you can't move over, it means go very, very, very slow, because we're already focusing on the current emergency. We don't need you compounding our situation by running into one of us or running into someone else on the side of the road. Most drivers today don't recognize that they could be contributing to the chaos and making an already stressful job more difficult. Like I said, it's hard enough to do our job without having to worry about if the guy coming down the road is going to run into me when I'm trying to get this baby out of this overturned car. In other states, the law has been expanded and enhanced. I'm going to quote from the U.S. Volunteer Firefighters Association. New York State's move over law has been expanded to include volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers. The measure passed by the state legislature this session requires drivers to slow down and move over a lane when approaching a vehicle with flashing blue or green lights. The blue or green lights are the lights that are in the personal vehicles of the emergency responder. If I'm minding my own business and I'm driving down the road and I see this, I see a bus. The bus itself may not be on fire, but whatever's over there is on fire. That doesn't mean that the people in the bus aren't in danger. I'm not going to continue driving by this bus to go to the station and come back. If I'm able, I'm going to stop. I'm going to help whoever's in that bus. But one of these cars could be mine. And if one of those cars is mine, and you don't see flashing lights, all you see is this big white bus, and you're not paying attention to what's over here, you might slam into me and pin me between my car and that bus. So visibility is important. Visibility and the move over law play hand in hand. If I were able to have flashing lights on my vehicle like these police cars or whatever this is, you'd see me easier than just me sitting on the side of the road with my four wheels on. Yeah, you might be paying more attention to me, but at least you'd see me. It would be harder for you to hit me with my car lit up than just sitting on the side of the road. With the way people drive and operate their vehicles these days, it's hard for the general public to know who's who. Colored lights in emergency vehicles help them stand out, and it's the same premise when it comes to personal vehicles. If I can put more lights in my car than just white lights, you'd see me faster. Pennsylvania allows their volunteers to have blue lights. New York allows green. Texas and the Carolinas and a bunch of other states allow red, blue, green, and white. However, Delaware only allows white lights for regular members, and only the officers of that current year can have blue lights. I don't think that every vehicle needs to be lit up bright, but if I could have blue and white, or blue and red, or red and green, or some color, some contrast in color, it would make it easier for you to see me coming down the road. Knowing and understanding the law. Delaware is a very diverse state, and it's an accepting state. We have a lot of new residents to the state moving in from places like New York City or Philadelphia, where they don't have volunteer departments. Therefore, they don't know what I'm doing going down the road, flashing my high beams and flashing white lights at them. And it irritates them and it makes them upset. I have personally had people follow me into the fire department and cuss me out when I got out of my car to go get on the fire truck. And it's not that they're being rude, they just don't understand. So we need to make it a priority to make sure that our residents, new and old, know what we're doing and can identify us when we're trying to get to the fire truck or when we're trying to get to the ambulance. Many residents here don't realize that the majority of emergency personnel in this state are volunteers. That's very important. They think we're paid. And if we're paid, we're supposed to be at the fire station already. We're not supposed to have to come every time the whistle blows. They don't understand the whistle. They just think it's something weird that goes on down here in Delaware. They don't understand that when the siren blows, it's calling us to come to the station. This is all stuff that needs to be relayed to the public so they understand. The next slide is going to be a video clip of what happens when someone doesn't move over and they possibly lose control of their vehicle. Just a forewarning, it is graphic. Here we have two troopers on the side of the road. I'm not exactly sure what they're doing or what the traffic stop is for. The first vehicle is already stopped. You can see the deputy or whoever he is moving around up front, and the second trooper gets out of his car. His sixth sense kicked in, and he was able to jump back just enough not to get pinned in between that car and the guardrail. Again, slow down, move over. It saves lives. That's a prime example right there. In conclusion, as we all know, being in emergency services, whether you're police, fire, or EMS, it's dangerous, period. That's just how it is. However, there are steps that can be taken to make the job a little bit safer and easier. Enforcing the laws that we have in place is a start, but enhancing those laws to include volunteers when we're on the side of the road, when we decide to help that person that needs us on the side of the road, or when we're trying to come in to get on our equipment to go and help the old lady who's stuck in her house that might be on fire, or the old lady that had a stroke and was able to press her medical alert button before hitting the floor. But they don't know to get out of my way. Enhancing this law to include something to make it easier for us, something to help the public understand why I'm speeding down the road with my four ways on, why there's flashing white lights. Something that makes it so that I can have more than just white lights and makes it easier for the public to identify me as someone on a mission, someone important. These things would make it easier and safer for us as responders. As I said, the laws should be changed to allow many volunteers of the state to have color lights in their personal vehicles. There's plenty of states like New York and Pennsylvania where this has made a significant difference in personal safety. At the end of the day, it's all about educating the public. If I can reach 10 people every time I give a presentation, that's good enough for me. But those 10 people will tell 10 more people, and it'll get spread around. Eventually, the public will know. Eventually, people will understand what it is we do and why we do what we do. I just want our laws to reflect some kind of change. I want to persuade our voting members to allow this change to be made, because it's about my life too. At the end of the day, I have a family that I want to go home to. And so do all my brothers and sisters in the fire service, and all my brothers and sisters on the police force. We want to go home too. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening.